So, carrying on. I'm going to read all this bit. I won't read the whole book. But this bit's important to the Captain Cook video that I did. So, the discovery of New Zealand. Tradition credits the Polynesian seafarer Kupe with the discovery of Aotearoa, the Long White Cloud, in about 950 AD. No, it's tradition. Centuries later, people from Hawaii followed their ancestors' path across the Pacific Ocean in great canoes and settled the islands he had discovered. Thus, according to tradition, I'm going to look up that word, was the Maori race established in Aotearoa. European discovery of these same islands is more certain. That's interesting, eh? More certain. Yeah, because you've wrote it down, haven't you? It was made in 1642 by Abel Tasman, a captain sailing in the service of the Dutch East India Company. Dutch East India Company. They were little scallywags. Heaps of research on them. The first Gazette mentions them a lot. Tasman sailed from Java with instructions to look for land which might offer new prospects for trade in the unknown Southern Ocean. He discovered Tasmania and then sailed east until he sighted a land uplifted high. The land was later named New Zealand. I don't know why. Tasman mapped a great deal of the west coast before sailing north for Cape Maria Van Diemen. How large or small was the land he had discovered? Tasman had no way of telling. Well, he had a little bit of a way of telling if he'd have mapped the rest of it. According to this, the mystery was solved by Lieutenant James Cook, RN, who sighted the east coast of New Zealand in October 1769. During the next 6 months, his vessel, 6 months, the Endeavour, Cook circumnavigated both islands. I think I've mentioned this in the other thing, 6 months to circumnavigate round all of New Zealand in one of them ships. Food, number one. Water, another one. They couldn't have just been sailing for 6 months around here after, remember, they'd just sailed from the other side of the world. They would have had to stop. There'd have been people dying. They'd have had to stop and get food and replenish stocks, you know. And who was here according to this narrative? Maori were already here, and according to the narrative, it wasn't pleasant. Anyway, during the next 6 months, the vessel Cook circumnavigated both islands. In 2 subsequent visits to New Zealand, Cook added only details to the thorough chart he had drawn on his first voyage. Bullshit. Following Cook's exploration and the founding of the penal settlement in Sydney. That penal settlement is prisoners. New South Wales in 1788. So that's prisoners. Sailors and whalers began visiting NZ coast. Other vessels came searching for the curry spars that Cook had described, and also for flax. So these were just sailors that had been told to come and get stuff from the land. These were not masons. Partly as a result of missionary pressure, remember the missioners are the programmers, Christianity program. I'm not slagging off Christianity, but, you know, a lot of it is just the program. I love spirituality and I love God. That is not what I'm having to go at here. And partly as a result of NZ New Zealand Company, they just makes me cross, plans to bring colonists to New Zealand. The British government decided that a representative was needed in New Zealand. And in 1833, Mr. James Busby was appointed a British resident. It's just such bullshit, man. He established his residency, all capital letters, look, you know, this is all corporation, this is all corporate. When there's a capital letter, it's about certification, it's about corporate law and legal entities, dead entities, pieces of paper, basically, and the Bay of Islands, and the main centre of missionary work. They were on a mission. They were on a mission to corporatise New Zealand, and of whaling and trading activity generally. It's all these people were doing, the first few ships that were here, whaling and trading. That was it. Subsequently, the British government, again a corporation, sent an officer to New Zealand Corporation to persuade the Maori chiefs, even Maori, capital to corporation, to cede sovereignty. Cede sovereignty. Of the country to the British Crown. Here it means give it away, but what does that word actually mean? Another one to look up. He was Captain William Hobson, RN, who left England in 1839 for Sydney en route to New Zealand. He wouldn't have got to Sydney, to Australia. Remember, it took 6 months, a year to get from one side of the world to the other. It does say that he landed here in 1840. The origin of some early place names. Hobson, Point Britomart. There's even Drury, a military post. It's all about war. Look, First Lord of Admiralty. It's maritime law, everything. And it's war. Fear, because that is how they control us. Settlement named after sailing ship Bombay, which made several voyages with the settlers from home in 1860. So they were only bringing settlers in 1860. Prince Regent's Inlet, Tamaki Channel. In 1820, the schooner Prince Regent, on her way to rendezvous with the Coromandel, was the first ship to sail this passage. A few weeks earlier, Marsden, in ship's work, Coromandel used the channel as he went to explore. So these were just explorers, these were not builders. Coromandel, harbour and settlement named after vessel sent to the New Zealand, blah, 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 Royal Navy. 1820, apparently. Firth of Thames, one of the many names given by Cook as he charted the NZ coast. Thames, New Zealand. Interesting. I'll just do one more page. Exploration of the Waitamata Harbour. Hobson sailed from Sydney on January the 18th, 1840 in the HMS Herald with a commission as Lieutenant Governor of New Zealand. His ship entered the Bay of Islands on the 29th and anchored the next day in Kororarika. Assisted by the resident and by missionaries living in the area, meetings were arranged with some Maori chiefs. The formal outcome of these meetings was a Treaty of Waitangi, which established Queen Victoria's sovereignty in New Zealand. Hobson next turned. See, this would have taken a long time to do. It wouldn't have just happened in days, you know. They didn't even speak the same language, remember? This would have taken a long time. They've only just got here, so no white man's learnt Maori yet. So how are they actually talking to one another just now, you know? Hobson next turned his attention to the urgent problem of selecting a suitable site for a capital. He rightly considered that the whaling trade and settlement of Kororarika and the mission station in Kerikeri, both of the Bay of Islands, were too isolated for an admin centre. In discussion with the missionaries, it suggested that Hobson should consider the Waitamata Harbour. The Reverend Henry Williams recommended the harbour as being large and providing a safe anchorage. Now, they must have been here years to discover this as well. This has not happened overnight, remember. It had the added advantage from the administrative point of view of having good water access to the north via the Kaipara Harbour and to the south via the Firth of Thames or the Manukau Harbour or the Waikato River. Maori opinion was clearly shown by their name for the areas Tamaki Makoro, the spouse competed for by 100 lovers. Maori tribes had fought for control of the isthmus, but at the time of the European arrival, the Fortages village, or Pars, had been abandoned and the area was virtually empty of settlement. So who were they fighting with? If they were doing this before they arrived? This doesn't make sense. On the 21st of February, Hobson sailed in, like the dates and times, sailed to the Herald for the Waitamata. His party included Mr. Matthew, who had accompanied Hobson from Sydney as Surveyor General, During the next fortnight, the Waitamata and Tamaki estuaries were explored, but a decision on locating the capital was deferred by Hobson, who was unwell, returned to temporary base. So this is taking years, remember. This isn't overnight. He only got here in 1840. In April, Felton Matthew was dispatched to continue the search for a suitable capital. Matthew inspected the coast, he explored Whangarei and Mahurangi, but decided that although both were suitable for settlements, neither provided conditions desirable. Using a small cutter from the Herald, Matthew again explored Waitamata, blah, blah, blah. It seemed unsuitable.